done. Hello.
I was hoping.
Honestly, Dylan, your editing skills are getting way good, way gooder than before.
Oh yeah. Michael, pick up the pieces, please.
I was hoping to avoid some "I drank your milkshake" things because it's really not a part. Like, it's not like huge in this movie. It's just one line.
You clearly don't read the episode summaries.
It is one line.
No, I did. I did once you. Because I thought Zach wrote them, so I usually skipped them. But once you said that you wrote them, I was like, all right, well, maybe I should read these.
Well, I mean, he uses my template, but whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, Milkshake.
Milkshake,
Milkshake, though. Like, honestly, like, yeah, it's not a really big scene, but there's something about that scene that is just so brilliant and so weird.
Yeah.
And it's also one of the. It's actually like an original thing that that Daniel said in real life. So that was like a quote from him. So that's why they made sure they used that.
It's taken from an actual congressional testimony.
Well, there was also a book called The Oil that this movie's based on, and there is a person in there that uses that line, and that's what Daniel was like made after or whatever. So I think that's what it was. No, I could be wrong. I have no idea. That's what I read, so I thought that was accurate. But anyway, this is Michael's show, so go for it. I'm just old ZW.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, we're just hanging out.
Just hanging out.
So yeah, no, the book was called just Oil, and I never read it. But my wife tells me that it's told from the point of view of HW, the son. So like, I'm sure there was something in there about milkshakes and how he drinks them. And I have a straw that goes across. I have a straw that goes across this room. We'll get to that scene. It's really. But
rewatching that reminded me of that weird SNL skit with with Barry from HBO's show Barry, where he keeps just singing about milkshakes. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So my number 2 movie, There Will Be Blood. This is, I don't normally like good movies. I'm not one for drama or like epics or like big sweeping dramas and stuff. I like comedies, I like horror movies, and I like action movies. I like dumb movies. But there is something that gripped me about this movie. This movie, not a word gets said for the first 20 minutes of this movie, and I'm sitting there enthralled by every second of it.
Yeah, there is a lens to look at this movie as though it's a horror movie. If you listen to the score and the soundtrack, it is a horror soundtrack.
The score definitely stuck out to me this time watching it.
Because, like, other than the fact that you're seeing a lot of bright images, this movie is a downer. It ends negatively. It is depressing. And for the most part, it is a horror movie where they view, at least Daniel views oil like a religion and absolutely abhors religion, which is so interesting. This movie, if you think about it, this movie is like a horror movie that is depressing and evil. And in that aspect, it is one of your movies. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
It really is, because there is no protagonist in this movie. Everyone sucks.
HW and Mary are the only sympathetic characters in this movie.
Yeah, and they're hardly in it, really.
Right. And this was the first time I realized what HW stands for. And I don't know why that skipped over me the first time. But do you guys know what HW stands for? Human worker.
Oh.
The little kid is just a human worker to him, and that's it.
Oh.
And when you look at it from that point of view, you're like, yeah, he really doesn't care about anything except his own determination.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was watching it this time, I was like, does he have any actual love for this child at all? Because it sure outwardly looks like he does, but he turns on him in a second. It's like, oh, I'm going to start my own oil business. Oh, well, then you're my enemy. And, I don't care about the last 25 years. You're just a rival now.
I don't think he has love for anybody or anything. I think that he has remorse for. There's a couple scenes in this movie that you can tell that he's really soaking in a lot of his actions. Towards the end, when he's reading his actual brother's, when we're gonna get to that, his actual brother's journal, but you can tell that he's like. He has feelings for some things, and I don't think he loves HW, but I do think that he needs another one of himself, and I think that he was looking at HW as that, because he's very clear. I hate everybody. I hate everything. I'm better than every single person, and I think this whole movie was just him looking for another one of him to be around while hating everybody else. It's such a great movie, and I'm so glad that you suggested this, because I'm not sure if I would have came back to this one right away. Something about it just seems weighty and heavy.
It's very heavy. There's no light points in this movie, but again, I think it's edited in a way that nothing like holds on for longer than it has to. Everything lasts exactly as long as it should. So it never feels like it slows down. It never feels like a slog. At no point in this movie does it slog. It gets slow, but it never feels like, well, all right, this part needs to end.
You're right. It gets slow in the way like the Bible gets slow, and the way great stories get slow, because you're like, man, shit is about to go down. Just let's get to it. But I agree. Like every second is purposeful in this movie. Every little thing that you see means just so much. And I don't know if it's just because of Daniel Day-Lewis, or there's something about it that just gives this movie such an epic, huge feel. And great movie. Let's get into it.
There are very few actors that could have pulled this off.
Yeah, I mean,
I was talking at work about this movie. This is one of my coworkers' favorite movies of all time. He said, "I've watched this thing 40 times." He said, ugh. And he's like, I cry at the end because of how beautiful this thing is. And I'm like, I get it. Because this is the fourth time I've watched this, and I don't rewatch movies very often, and I definitely don't rewatch 2.5-hour movies very often, but this one gets better every time I see it. You catch new things, and we were talking about it, and I was talking about how we watch Dances with Wolves, and all I could think about after whoever suggested it, that it was The Last of the Mohicans, was man, this movie would be so much better with Daniel Day-Lewis instead of Costner. Mm-hmm. And then I'm thinking, what if someone like Kevin Costner would have tried to take this role? It would have been awful.
Yeah, I think so. And the thing is, there's not many actors that have, I'm going to use the word gravitas, and I hate that word, but there's not many actors that have that kind of just that guttural feeling when they hop in front of a movie screen. You're like, all right, man, whatever you're doing, I'm in, dude. I will always hop in your backpack. When it comes to a Dan Day-Lewis movie, you can always trust that he's going to do the right thing. You know what I mean? And I always want to be the little Yoda in his thing while he's flipping around or leather working or whatever it is that dude's doing. I think he's in retirement right now. But yeah, Dan Day-Lewis does a great job. And this movie is, I don't even think this is his best movie, but there is not a way this movie could be done without him in it. No. And I think one of the trivia notes that I read was that a lot of the money was banking on the fact that Daniel Day-Lewis would be in this. And if he didn't accept it, this movie would not have been made. So I'm
that would have been the right call.
Yeah.
To not do this movie without him.
Yeah.
There's from the very beginning, like I said, it's almost 20 minutes into this movie before a line of dialogue is uttered. We're just watching him mine silver. And, I don't know how they did it, but him with the pickaxe, and he puts the dynamite into the into the wall, and he lights it, and then he slowly climbs up the thing, and then it explodes. And then, like, I don't know how they got this shot of him falling down that well, but that is brutal. And it, like, you can see it's definitely not a dummy. It's definitely a stunt person. And that sucks. Like, that sucks for that person, because he hit something on the way down there. And it's one of the most brutal, like, I watch a lot of horror movies, and very few things make me like cringe when it happens on screen. But when he hits that like piece of scaffolding on his way down, I was like, oh God. And then they show his leg and it's like backwards. Jeez. Yeah. So from second one of this movie, it's got me. It's got me hooked.
Yeah, but if you think about like exposition, like this is such great character development without any words whatsoever. Like you see that this guy is just all determination, all just, I'm going to muscle my way through this. There's nobody that can do this but me. I am stronger than anybody. I am tougher. Like watching him pull himself out of that hole after that broken leg, you're like, why would nobody else would try it? Everyone would I'm dead. I'm dead. Whatever. Like I'm in. Except for maybe James Franco. But F that guy. But yeah, him just pulling. I mean, once again, great acting, but just him pulling himself out of there and then realizing that he pretty much pulled himself to town.
He pulls himself to town and to the place where he sells the silver, and he brought the silver with him. Like he didn't just pull himself out of the mine. He brought with him what he went down there for, because that thing. And it's a little detail that I missed until this time, but they show him signing his name, and it's like pristine. It's like a perfect signature, beautiful, like penmanship and everything. And then that'll come back later is his signature.
This movie establishes everything you need to know about him without a single line of dialogue in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
How he neglects his son. In return, he overemphasizes what he's digging up. How he doesn't let small things stop him. How he doesn't let
big things stop him.
Doesn't let big things stop him. Yeah. This movie is put together in a very, very, very cohesive and like a care to detail way. And it's interesting when you said that things don't last longer than they need to. There's a lot of lingering shots, at least in the first part of this. And as the movie goes on, there's a lot of single takes of just Daniel Day-Lewis just devouring the scenery in the best way possible. But a lot of his longer monologues are delivered in single shots, which is a testament to the craft that went into the movie. And this is the first time I had seen this.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yes. I remember when it came out, and I remember instead of watching this, I watched
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men. Yeah.
Which I also love.
Yeah.
Which is also a great movie. Mm-hmm. And I just never got around to watching this. It was like, it never really, it's one of those movies that you know about from reputation. And I was like, yeah, sure. At some point I'll catch it. I expected to see it on like USA or something. And so it was nice to have an opportunity to like watch it for a purpose and really kind of absorb this as like, oh, I see. And it's one of those movies you sleep on and you're like, oh, okay, I probably should have watched this earlier so I could have watched it more than just once by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually shot this movie at the same location they shot No Country for Old Men. And there was actually an issue, and they would like go teach our set all the time, but there was an issue in this movie where there's like one big explosion, and apparently the smoke lasted so long that the Coens couldn't film that day because their shot was facing where that smoke tower was, which is cool. But yeah, these movies for some reason are just linked in everyone's mind. They came out at the same time. They were shot at the same time. They have like the same kind of yellowy hue, but aggressively different movies. But still,
they're way different
evil
movies.
but
and
evil.
I definitely saw this or I definitely saw No Country for Old Men first, because I was like, oh, it's a Coen Brothers movie. You know, this is the one I'm going to watch. Another 2.5 hour long movie. That one's also a very long movie.
Yeah.
But I watched that and I'm like, wow, amazing. And that won the Oscar that year. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see this No Country for Old Men. Let's see this There Will Be Blood. We'll see what everybody, people are talking about there. And then you watch this and it's like,
well, No Country for Old Men won Best Movie, but
yes.
Daniel Day-Lewis won Best Actor. And this is like
pretty much everything he was up for.
Right. This is his second Best Actor one, which put him in the rank of only 10 people that have 2 Best Actor awards. But you should probably introduce the show though.
Nah.
No.
I mean, this is the Real Boys. We talk about movies that we do. There's normally 3 of us, but in theory there's 8 of us, and we all have a top 5 movie, and we go through them and watch them and talk about them. I'm gonna start calling this Jack Billings Presents Some Nobodies Real Boys.
Well, it'd be Some Nobodies Presents Jack Billings as Real Boys.
No. Jack Billings always presents.
Well, but there's 2 of us and 1 of you, and we're more creative, so we get title card. Well, it's like it's like Some Nobodies guest starring Jack Billings Presents.
Wow.
That way you can get a guest starring and maybe a with. You can also get a with if you want. Oh, Dylan's asleep. He doesn't like this kind of talking.
Oh yeah. Well, then
it doesn't sound religious or Norse.
True. Norse.
Well, I know you're in the Viking journals right now. Your Viking dream journals.
All right, before we bore Dylan, we'll hash this out afterwards. So that's what we do. We talk about movies. You know that. We're the Real Boys.
Somebody's presents
internationally discussed Real Boys movie.
Internationally discussed movie podcast,
borderline internationally hated podcast, but yeah, that's true.
I'll wear it.
It's just for the stupidest reason too. We're not going to get into it, but we're internationally hated for the stupidest reason.
It's the tattoos, Zach. You got to cover them up.
That's true. I do. You don't see any right now, do you? I'm wearing extra long sleeves today.
We also got a little bit of hate for not liking Dances with Wolves enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, we did kind of review it as though it was a comedy. It was like Monty Python's Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves it's sort of its own fault because it does feel like a comedy at some points.
You can't hit your head that many times and not be a comedy. Like that's it. Like, hitting your head on something is almost equivalent to fart jokes in the 90s. Like if there's a fart in it, it's a comedy. That's how you know.
Yeah. Well, there was also a lot of farts in that. Unlike this, which there are no moments of comedy in.
And no farts.
Holy cow. You want to talk about a movie that you cannot feel good while you're watching.
It's bleak.
Shoo. Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's bleak. So we get to okay, so there's a family out in, where are we, by the way? California? This is just California, correct?
Oh, is
the oil he gets is in California. It starts with him in Kansas.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're out of Kansas. We've sold our silver. We're about to go.
We drug ourselves over the hills.
Yeah, we're just about to go buy a plot of land. Someone came to us and told us my family has this huge plot of land. There's oil there. We're not doing anything with it. We don't know how to do anything with it. We have a church. It's in a shack. We have no money. Give me some money. Come to our land, find this oil, and then my father will sell you this plot of land. And he does, which does not go over well with one of these brothers. Okay, let's get into now. God, what is his name?
Daniel?
Paul Dano?
Yeah,
Eli?
Paul Dano's character. Eli.
Paul is the one who sells the land in the first place, but Eli is the one who hangs out for most of the movie.
Yes.
Well, I thought his
yeah,
name was Paul Sunday.
Paul Sunday, but then it's Eli Sunday as his brother.
Yeah,
Eli is the brother. Paul Dano is the actor who plays him.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's hoping to get some money for his church. Which I'm gonna call it a church, even though it seems very cultish.
Oh, it's a church. It's a church in the early 1900s. Absolutely.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one. I'm not super up on my Christian churches through the ages, but if I saw this church now, I would be like, this is a cult, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you guys can help me out at any time. I did watch this a couple days ago, so I'm not as fresh on it as you guys are. But we get to this church, and it is in a shack. It is a shitty ramshackle. There's 10 people in this church, and so we get a little bit of money from.
So this is the scene where Paul Dano he throws Satan out of the church, right?
Yeah.
So now there's a way to look at this movie, right? Like he pushes Satan into Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Because we know later that Paul Dano is not a great guy, but if you watch the way they film, and I watched this scene like twice because I thought that it was filmed in a very weird way, where you see Paul Dano and he grabs the spirit of Satan or whatever, and he starts throwing it out, but for some reason out of the church, but for some reason
the woman's arthritic hands,
right, and he throws it like he's starting to take it out of the church, but the camera then becomes mobile and you kind of take on the view of the evil presence where you're being pushed out of the church, and then he throws it and he goes, and then you're out of here forever. But as soon as he does that, the camera spins to Daniel Day-Lewis, and you're like, I wonder if they're trying to say that they just put that spirit into him, because like up until then he could have been a fine guy, who knows, like he's not great, but there's
don't really, but yeah, you do notice that he's very smart. He builds the plans for extracting the oil out of the ground, and he's down in the shit. Like he's down there, he's working. And then once we get, I would have never thought of it that way, because this is not some sort of supernatural anything.
No, but the biblical metaphor in this movie is worn on its sleeve without any subtlety.
Well, there's parallel religious storylines going on if you think about it. There's Paul Dano's very clear, this is a Christian religious church. But if you watch the way that Daniel Day-Lewis treats oil, he does get baptized in regular water, whatever. But when he finds oil, at one scene they put christen his kid with oil, and the way that he puts his hand on oil and he holds it up just the same way like a religious prophet would. So there is a way to look at this movie as though the oil is a negative religion.
It's physical sin.
Right,
it's
also
the church, they're baptizing themselves in it.
But the church is also a negative religion, especially the way Paul Dano's doing it. So it's like a weird way to view two different forms of faith from bad people.
Yeah, this is definitely a bunch of bad people. But so we're introduced and it seems like. Yeah, Paul Dano really is just trying to get money for his church. It doesn't even seem like he cares that much about. Well, maybe he cares too much. I really can't tell his motivations, because he does seem very motivated by money. Like he is trying to get this money. But it seems like it's just an act. And at the end, he does have him sort of renounce his. So he's using his religion the same way that Daniel is using the oil. Yeah, so that sounds feasible. That's what they do.
He's a self-deceiver, and I think when he speaks at the end under duress, admittedly, I think he is speaking truth, even though as hard as it is for him to confront it. But then he tries to put the mask back on, and then the hard times come about, and he is asking for money. He starts the movie, ends the movie, and continues the movie asking for money, and the rest of it is just for show, which, you know, is relevant in some ways to modern stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the way that like these mega churches and stuff do the same thing. It's like they don't really care about your eternal soul. They're just worried about buying another mansion in the hills away from everybody, which again, I was hoping that Phil was going to be on this one because there is a thing that Daniel Plainview says in the movie. He's like, when he's talking to his quote unquote brother, he's like, I hate just about everyone. All I want is to be able to move away from everyone and just be by myself.
Yeah, to make enough money to get away from people.
And then Standard Oil gives him that opportunity. They give him, they're like, we're going to make you a millionaire. And that would be plenty to do what he originally says he's setting out to do. But then that's not enough for him.
Because at that time, he's got the brother. He has somebody else at that moment.
Yeah, but also that would have been enough for them to move out in the middle of nowhere together. You know, it could have been the three of them out in a compound by themselves.
To Daniel Day-Lewis, he was always looking for someone that had the drive, the determination that he had. When his fake brother came back along, he was like, you gave me a new breath of energy. Like, you gave me a second birth. And it was because he was being worn down by just people. You know, just people doing their thing. But when he thought he had a brother, the same way he thought when he had, you know, HW, was that I have someone now. I finally have a partner. I can do way more. I can make double now. We can do so much more. So before, where it was, I would just want to get away from people because he didn't like people. But when he had a friend, when he finally found a friend, which was his fake brother, and you could see that day that he found out about the brother being fake, that whole day, you can just watch it wear on him. And you're like, he doesn't want this, but he kind of does, because it is the first time he's had a friend in a while, even though it was a lie, you know? So, and it's so odd just watching people deceive each other over and over and over again for different things. You know, Paul Dano, like, he kept saying like, oh, I'll bless the well also. And then you'll say my name again. And then you'll also say my name again. And then you'll introduce me. So he's like looking for fame for doing this. And, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis is looking for, you know, fame and money because nobody can do what he does. He's the only one that can find this oil. He's the only one that can do all this. And then even the brother comes in. He's like, I don't really know. I don't even really know what the brother's like. I guess he wanted the money.
Yeah, I think he's just... Yeah, because, I mean, he's destitute. He has nothing.
Yeah.
So when he finds out that there's this guy who has all these oil fields, like, he knows that this guy is rich. So when his actual brother dies and he has the journal, he can, you know, fake it enough that he does believe him.
Going back to the people offering him enough money to retire effectively, there's a through line of pride being what ultimately kills people in this movie. And Daniel Day-Lewis's character explains he hates people. He can't stand people. And so I think the reason he turns that offer down is because it's another person offering it to him, and he can't take that. He wants to be the one to initiate, I have this, give me money for it. As opposed to someone approaching him and saying, you have this, let us give you money for it.
Yeah,
that's the scene where he winds up saying, I'm going to sneak into your house at night where you sleep and slit your throat.
Yeah.
Which he uses HW as the excuse. But you can see that he was getting mad through that conversation from the initial approach.
Yeah, on this last rewatch, I went into it looking at it under like the lens of, is this a generation thing? Like, is there a thing where it's like one generation's hardworking, the next generation's just trying to take? So I was curious if that's what they were trying to do, and I really didn't get that.
No.
Although, yeah, I do agree with you, Dylan, that there is a lot of just pride on everything. Everyone wants their name. Everyone wants their business. Everyone wants, like, even HW at the end is like, look, I'm going to start my own little company. And he's like, well, then no, I don't know you. I will kill you. So yeah,
my rival and my competitor instead of my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so HW, but from the very beginning, this is not Daniel Day-Lewis's actual kid.
Yeah, he stole his kid.
Well, I don't think he stole him, because you see the other guy with him.
Well,
and then
the guy who dies in the hole, I think
that was
his father. And then Dan Day-Lewis is like, I'm just gonna take him because I can make money. I can make more money with a child.
And I mean, he's not wrong.
Not at all.
I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if that's confirmed in the movie. He says that to HW.
No, he says it to him.
You definitely see that the dad die, and you see him take the child right afterwards. I'm pretty sure he stole HW. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get on board that. I don't.
There's no indication of any sort of wife or girlfriend or anything that would have, been with Daniel Day-Lewis that would have had this child. He just sort of showed up as a baby. And the guy that died in the well, which another brutal death. Holy cow. He got just impaled by that pipe.
Yeah.
But he's definitely the one earlier holding this child, and he's the one like kissing him and feeding him and all that stuff. So I don't think that was his actual child.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel that that's how I took it, was that he stole this child. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I guess I'll rewatch it again just to see.
Yeah, I also don't think he stole him. I think he was the only one left, and he was like, because there was nobody else around when he took that kid.
Yeah.
So I think he was just like, it's either me or I'm gonna let this kid sit out here in the desert and die.
I don't know. Yeah. I'll look at. I mean, it makes sense, but I was under. That was in my brain. Is like, yo, he straight took this kid. But
he might have. I might be wrong. I might just not have been paying attention during the initial phases of this movie. But it felt. There were some moments where it felt like he genuinely cared about HW, and it felt like at the beginning when he like offers the kid the whiskey.
No, if you look on the Wikipedia for They Will Be Blood, it says under the plot, it says, following the death of a worker in an accident, Daniel adopts the man's orphan son. The boy HW becomes his nominal business partner.
I recant.
That was what it felt like. And like I said, it didn't seem like he stole the kid either. But the only time that I felt like he was really like he had any affection for this kid was when he came back. Mm-hmm. Like, because he did, like, he cold-heartedly let that kid on that train.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
After he set that cabin on fire, tried to kill the two of them. Which I didn't quite understand that either, like his motivation for that. Like, it was right after he lost his hearing, but that seems a little bit.
It's after he sets fire to the bunkhouse, and HW is causing problems. There are enough problems, and that is all he needs to get rid of this kid.
Yeah, I mean, he loves him like a good partner, like and like a business partner. When you're making money and things are going good, you love that partner. Mm-hmm. Once they become a little bit not 100% on your side, they probably got to go. They got to go. That's it.
If Zach tried to set fire to my bedroom, I'd probably put him on a train to boarding school.
Dylan has put me on 3 trains so far, and I just keep getting off.
Well, he just
like,
didn't
what?
get a big enough guy to hold him back from jumping off.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
that
It's
is
hard.
like that scene. That's another Daniel Day-Lewis acting scene. Is
Yes.
him getting off of that train, and he's just straight faced. He heads right for that car. The kid's screaming. The guy's like holding him, and he doesn't even give him a second look.
I know, and I love that even before that, like he doesn't really even say anything nice to HW. He's like, "That's enough, HW.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
enough."
Yeah.
You're like, man, I guess that's as nice as you can get, fella. But yeah, the scene though that really got me the most was when Daniel Day-Lewis is in front of that school board, whatever that is, and he's like just telling them about how he wants to put that thing in there. He wants to do oil and all the land. Like that scene was just so cool. And looking up at the trivia, it turns out that scene was 100% improvised by Daniel Day-Lewis. And at the end of it, PTA apparently just looked at him and goes, "That's exactly Daniel Plainview." He served Daniel Plainview up on a platter. And I thought that was so cool that, once again, he is such a great actor that he can fall into a character so much that he can just give you what that character should have given you without any direction. And
I mean,
yeah.
he's kind of the prototypical like great actor. When people think of great actors, they say like Daniel Day-Lewis's name always pops up. He's also the one people think about method acting. He probably didn't leave the Daniel Plainview character while filming this movie.
Yeah, he's definitely not someone I would want to be on set with. It seems like that would be a horrible experience.
Yeah, apparently on set every Wednesday, the whole cast and crew would just eat like medium rare steaks and straight vodka because they wanted to stay in the same kind of aspect, at least for one day a week, that Daniel Plainview, and that's all he did was just eat steak and drink vodka. And that's just so crazy.
Yeah, and the steak is sort of a through line. I guess that's like back then that was what you ate to show that you had money.
Oh yeah.
Because he's ordering big steaks. He's like 2 just big steaks and whiskey and water and goat's milk. Lots of goat's milk in this movie for the kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only time that I really felt like he did have was when he came back from the school and he's like hugging on him and you know,
gets punched a little bit.
It feels like, getting punched a little bit, and he doesn't retaliate. He's not like, he's just like, I deserve this, get it out of your system. But that felt like he had genuine emotions in that scene.
He's still riding that baptism high, and like it'll wear off after a little bit, and you can see that it does.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that is after his his penance. Allegedly.
But there is something to be said about the way PTA, how he directs certain scenes. A lot of the scenes you get Daniel Day-Lewis very up close. You get a lot of his face, you get a lot of his thing. But there are times when he's interacting with some people and the camera's so far away. And I'm curious if he's looking at that as like, this is all for show. This is just for other people. And that scene is one of those scenes where
that scene
pretty far away.
It's really far.
Yeah, and there's a couple scenes that are very far away, and you're like, I wonder if this is like to kind of show that this is Daniel putting on a show for other people, because he is a great salesman. He's a phenomenal speaker, and he knows what people want to see and hear. So I'm curious. I do think that there is a little bit of maybe love, maybe remorse, but it is interesting when you watch those far away scenes and try to determine like, here's some emotion in this scene. I wonder if that's for us, the viewer, or if it's for the people in town.
But there's also that dinner scene right after that when they're sitting there. It is closer up because it's the only thing in frame is Daniel and HW. And
it eventually gets eclipsed by his interactions with the other oil guys, though.
Yeah, that's also true. So there was a couple times when I felt bad for Daniel Plainview, but I also didn't know if I should be feeling bad for him.
I don't know. Like, he's not a great guy, but he's also not a bad dude. Like he's a bad guy, but like, you can see how he gets to where he is, and you can see that it's mostly hard work, and then when he kind of gets called out for not telling the truth or whatever, and then somebody else is really taking advantage of him. So it is interesting because you're not really supposed to root for him, but I'm also not really hardcore against them. It's like,
the scenes, the scenes that like I was like smiling at, the scenes that did lift my spirits a little bit in this movie. The scene where Eli comes up to him in the field and he just smacks him down. Like he's just pummeling him into this mud.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of the scene where you get the fact that Eli is also not the person to be rooting for in this movie, because he's sitting there at the dinner table, just coated in mud and oil, and it's dried, and he's just staring at his father, and then he starts just going off on this guy, and then he beats the snot out his father. And it's like, oh, this guy's also not the guy that we're supposed to be rooting for. I guess we're not really rooting for anyone in this movie.
Right, which is weird, because if Daniel Day-Lewis at that moment baptized Paul Dano in the oil to give him the bad shit, and then Paul Dano went severely down after that, and started being very aggressive, very mean. So it is weird to see like that oil and water, it just kind of like try to get together and try to work together, but just not. Cool.
Well, Daniel Plainview, like throughout the movie until his break at the end, he is ruthless and he's amoral, but he never goes out of his way to cause active harm to people, which is something they could have very easily done. You kick the dog as you walk past it, and then the audience knows, this guy's not cool. But until it keeps you kind of on his side, like Zach said, where it's like he does a lot of hard work and he's very charismatic. And he does the steps he needs to do to get his goals done until things start to fall apart. And you see the person behind the mask when he kills his fake brother. And then the time skip and how he treats his son. And of course, the end with Eli. You until then, the character you see is not cruel beyond his inability to form like a deep connection that he'll prioritize over his business.
But he very clearly is an atheist from the beginning. Like he's like, there's no way God exists. I work hard for everything. Until he gets baptized. And there is something weird about those two characters crossing lines right around the baptism of what the other one doesn't really care about. Once the Day-Lewis gets baptized by the holy water or whatever Christians did in 1911 or whatever, which is probably some kind of goat urine. But until then, like he's just a hardworking dude. Then things go really wrong.
It's the only time
it is weird.
It's the only time in the movie he surrenders power to another person willingly.
Yeah.
He like when Bandy, the landowner that he can't get the land from, when Bandy is like, get baptized. I don't care about money. Get baptized. Yeah. And then he has to still prod him at the service. Stand up. I'll go with you. It's the only time in the movie that Plainview surrenders to another person. And even afterwards, his behavior doesn't really change.
No,
it does a little bit when his son shows up. But then he slips back into it.
During that baptism, it doesn't feel like anything besides an act that whole time. Like he's foregoing his pride, but it's just to get what he wants. Like he has not accepted this Holy Spirit of, whatever is going on here. On his face, you can see that he's not buying any of this.
There's a brief moment when he's crying about abandoning his boy, where it does feel, I've abandoned my son. I've abandoned my son. Oh wait, no, he's right here. Wait, I was thinking of the SNL skit as well, Zach. But there's a moment where he is talking about HW, and it feels potentially like he is sincere. And then it's like he remembers why he's doing it. Yeah,
but it's the first time that he puts his own actions into context, too, if you think about it. Like, most time it's like, I work hard, this is what I get. All of my actions cause this effect. But this is the first time that he doesn't say, like, I made a business decision, like, I abandoned my child. I've abandoned my son. And it's the only time that he takes any kind of action that isn't look at my hard work. That was something that sinks into him. And then the baptism, and you're like, wait a minute, are you changing, dude? Are you different now? Like, can God be that good? I have no idea. I doubt it. But yeah, that scene is so cool, man. Like the thing about this movie, and when you watch it, like Daniel Day-Lewis is in every single scene except for two very small scenes. And that dude, not only does he eat up scenery, but he makes you feel that you're in the right spot at all times. And the way the camera moves slowly at certain things, and the way it hangs on to certain things, it's just you're always looking for Daniel Day-Lewis. You're like, well, what's he doing right now? I need to know. It's such a riveting character that I think only Lewis could have pulled off like expertly.
Yeah,
I love this movie. I love this movie. Good job, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And I appreciate the close-ups on Daniel Day-Lewis. I think this might be where he looks probably the best.
I don't know, man. There's a couple of shots in Gangs in New York, even with that eye that you're like, you are a good-looking dude.
He's great. Oh my God.
Yeah, and we also do get that scene where they're swimming shirtless Daniel Day-Lewis. I appreciate that as well. I mean, look, we are talking about a very
sexy
heavy,
man.
Very serious movie. So if I can't talk about how fucking good Daniel Day-Lewis looks in this movie, I'm just going to be depressed by the end of the podcast.
Well, this movie in general looks fantastic. Whether it is the way the camera is positioned, how it moves, how the characters move, how the setting is portrayed, everything is practical. When they blow up, when that oil derrick blows up, they blew up and burned a real-sized prop of that. That's a real set that it's lit on fire. That is it doesn't look. The human eye can pick out computer-generated imagery. No matter how good it is, the human eye can generally pick out fake fire and fake motion. And
fake
this
blood.
movie does not have that. Yeah, and fake blood. Blood spatters are a big one nowadays. But this movie is like physical and it's there. And there's a lot of it.
It's also very tactile. This movie, you can almost feel this movie. There's a lot of times that it's just very I don't know. Dylan, I wanted to ask you a question though. Why is this called There Will Be Blood?
It's a promise. It's a promise to the audience and everybody involved in the oil industry that when you come onto something as valuable as this, and when you come into people as ruthless as this, willing to go get it, you're going to eventually spill blood, or blood of the earth. I don't know.
Yeah, Michael, what do you think?
That's what I also thought, was that eventually, because this is back in 1898 to 1920 something.
20 something. Yeah,
like that's in order to get the oil, you had to be so ruthless. Like, I can't imagine that anybody with oil money wasn't responsible for many deaths, whether like firsthand, like whether they killed someone or just the unsafe working conditions. But it was sort of, for those people, it was like, whatever, these people are expendable. The people that work getting my oil to make my money are expendable.
Yeah,
so
I was
someone's going to die doing this.
Yeah, I was really like trying to get this religious. I was trying to construct this religious conspiracy when it came to this movie over the past like 2 days, and I had this idea. I was like, well, blood is pretty religious, and Christianity and blood of the earth, and if this is like they're both of their religions, and I was like really trying to like concisely put together this weird religious conspiracy theory, and I couldn't quite get it together. But you can see where the veins of this were.
I can see that.
I learned how to wink today.
Oh, good.
I can see that, but they also spend so much time working on the Daniel Plainview and the oil side of it that they don't really like. There could be this exact movie in this exact timeline taking place at Eli's point of view, that would also be very interesting. Just, then we would only see Daniel Plainview when Eli saw them. We could see what happened with the religious stuff, and it would probably fill it out. But that's not the story that we're being told here. We're being told Daniel Plainview's story here. Yeah. So the only thing we know about Eli is what we need to know about Eli to get Daniel Plainview's story going.
Now, Eli's death. How do you feel about that scene?
It's intense. Again, this is one of those scenes where no action, no second is wasted, but it is also long and it is drawn out. And you can definitely, because Daniel is passed out drunk on the floor of the bowling alley with his steak is sitting there and his drink is sitting there. His butler guy is trying to wake him up. He can't. Eli finally, succeeds in waking him up. He's asking for money and Daniel's just sitting there and just gnawing on this steak that is so overdone. It made me uncomfortable.
I didn't know what it was at first, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, ooh.
At a certain point,
that's just a well done steak. Why would you do that?
That's why I don't.
A boot.
Yeah, that's why I don't. That's why I don't drink that much while you cook, because you forget to take it off. It's got to rest for a couple minutes, guys. Come on.
It's a horrible looking steak, but yeah, you can see him like, here's this motherfucker asking me once again for money. He has done nothing for me. He has done nothing but cause me grief. He has done nothing but get in my way. And here he is asking me for more money. I don't think so. And then I did laugh a little bit. I don't know if I should have, but when he gets up and he's just throwing those bowling pins at him,
yeah,
hilarious.
Love
Maybe
that.
it was just because that was all the levity that was in this movie. I've been watching this movie for 2 hours and 25 minutes at this point. And now here's this crazy old man throwing bowling pins at this guy. And I'm like, I'm just laughing because I have to.
No, but how does Eli's death juxtapose with the fake brother's death? Because that was just an emotional, just sad. Like, I don't know if that guy should have been murdered, but I get it.
That was the other point where I felt bad for Daniel Plainview, was when he's got that gun up to his head and he's like, the guy's like, look, this is what I did. And he tells him the truth, but he's like, I can't let this, because if this gets out that I let this go, he doesn't want to, but he has to. Yeah. And then even, I don't know who this actor is that plays his quote unquote brother.
He's the guy who takes Brendan Fraser into the caves of the Mummy.
Oh boy. Okay.
The guy that has all the different necklaces and all the different religions. Benny or whatever.
Like a cave guide.
Yeah.
But the death that he has is like, it's brutal. Because rough. He gets shot in the head and he's like, for a second you're like, did he actually shoot him? Because he's like and then he just dies and it's like, holy fuck. Like, wow.
It is my favorite style of headshot death in a movie. The
hand on?
Non-dramatic. You don't necessarily like have the exploding skull. I love I love a good exploding head, but like the non-glamorous is like,
it's not glamorous.
No,
yeah, you definitely can't pull off a Django kind of head blow off in this movie. But yeah, this movie is just gritty, and it's weird to find a movie that doesn't really have the good guy. It doesn't really have a happy ending.
It doesn't have a standard plot. It's a character study.
Yeah, there's really no arc, really. It's like, this guy really wanted some money, found some trouble.
Got it. He's smart enough and he is hardworking enough that he can do it.
It's just a downward spiral the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And
not
then-
many movies that feel like this though, which is
No.
cool.
And then the Eli's death is also brutal because
Mhm.
he's sort of scampering away, and then we just show Daniel Day-Lewis from, I guess, Eli's back of his head's point of view.
Yeah.
But we're just
Yeah.
looking up at him, and he just slams that thing down like 3 or 4 times, and that's all it takes. And then the last line of the movie, he's just sitting there, and the housekeeper guy comes down, and he's just like, "I'm done.
I'm
And then
finished.
I'm finished.
I'm finished." And that's the end of it. Another beautifully ended movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that is just an ending, like that is a solid ending. It doesn't like go to something else and go, well, I wonder how the Sunday family is, or it doesn't go to HW. It's just like, I'm finished.
We're finished.
We're done.
Because
Get
this is
outta
the
here.
story we're being told. We're not being told HW's story. We're not being told the Sunday family story. We're being told Daniel Plainview's story. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is the end of it. Whether he died shortly after, whether he committed suicide, or whether he just lived out the rest of his life there alone in that big house, who knows? But he's finished with whatever he was doing. Whatever he was doing is over.
Yeah, I'm done. My job.
HW is no longer a part of his life. His sort of rival throughout his oil bearing days is gone. That's the end of it.
Yeah,
And
job's done. I can rest.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So cool. Now, this was the first movie that does not have what's his name? Philip Seymour Hoffman from a PTA movie. Usually PTA casts Philip Seymour Hoffman as the lead or co-lead of all of his movies up until this one. Who do you think in this movie, if Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it, who would he have played? The brother?
The
No.
his second-hand man, but who's currently played by Kieran Hines, the guy who's like, can we speak alone? Well, he's my right-hand man. He's here.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
the guy
I
that
could have
doesn't
seen
sell.
him. I could have seen him as one of the Standard Oil guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean,
Show up as the old man, boondoggle, whatever that guy's name is. Who doesn't
Yeah.
convert.
Yeah.
or
This
the
is
the Sunday father.
Yeah.
now this is Quentin Tarantino's favorite PTA movie, and I thought that was really interesting because those guys are like really good friends, and Tarantino kind of views PTA as like his rival. That's one of the words that he uses, and he says out of all PTA's movies, this one is his best work, and I think that I agree with that. Like I love almost all of PTA's work, but there's something so brilliantly special about this movie that cannot be touched by anything else, especially not anymore. They cannot make this movie right now for some reason, and I don't think that they would even try. Like, you need an auteur to make a movie like this. You need somebody that has like a firm grasp of storytelling to be able to like push this kind of movie past corporate like suits, because they're like this movie's this movie works 100%, and I'm so glad that it exists.
Yeah, I think Paul Thomas Anderson might be able to get something like this made, like you said, like auteurs, like maybe Quentin Tarantino could get something like this made and put out in theaters now, but you wouldn't be able to have an up and comer make this movie now, because right now everything needs to be a spectacle in order for them to put it out on big screens. But and 2007 was not that long ago.
No.
So,
but as far as movies, it was though. I mean, pre Iron Man. Before you get to Iron Man and Dark Knight, movies are boring. From 99 until 2007, movies were roughly the same kind of thing. It was post Matrix, post Crow. Everything's dark. Everything's kind of techno-y. There's computer shit, and all of a sudden you get the two beautiful gems at once. You get this and No Country for Old Men, which just like it like makes the bed for you to lay in. It does such a great job of being like, look, I know there's cinephiles still out there. Here's a gorgeous movie.
And then Iron Man comes out, and then we have only spectacles from then on.
Sure do.
Yeah, because the blockbuster takes over. And I mean, this movie only made like, I think it barely made like, even to this date, it's at like $100 million. I think it's not even like that much on like a $25 million budget. But if a movie right now makes $100 million, that's a complete failure. You know, like
because you spent $200 million to make it.
I mean, even the movie like the Joker, which had really no special effects to it, that was a $60 million movie, and that's considered a indie film right now. And for that movie to make only $100 million after 15 years would be such a failure. But this movie is complete winner.
It's one of those things. I don't understand. There are certain things in all mediums, music, movies, video games, like anything. It's like it gets nothing but critical acclaim, but for some reason people still haven't seen it or read it or played it or listened to it. And it's like,
It's because that weird phenomenon that came out that people have this movie and No Country for Old Men linked in their brain. And it's very odd that if you ask the majority of people about this movie, they'll probably tell you the cattle prod thing and something about the word friendo. And or you know, and you're like, well, that's the other one. Because that's the other one. They feel the same. And this could be a Coen movie almost. The characters aren't as explosive, but I think that people just kind of they filed this one back too many times. I think because of what happened right before it, what happened during it, and then boom, 2008 came, and then blockbusters became everything, and people are like, let's forget about that. I mean, because look at Paul Thomas Anderson's last like 3 or 4 movies. Like they're not really that great. What do you have? Like the Phantom Thread, which was a very cool movie. Before that, there was some garbage.
Death Race.
Death Race. And then before that was something else that was crazy in 2012.
Alien vs. Predator.
Oh my god. Okay, so I'm not sure which side of that one's going. I'm going to fight.
Paul W.S. Anderson, not Paul Thomas Anderson.
I know, Mike. Are you going to say Mortal Kombat next?
Yes. Monster Hunter.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. I would like to visit the alternate reality where the Coens did this movie and Paul Thomas Anderson did No Country for Old Men, because they would have been 2 completely different movies, and I don't know if they would be as good as these versions that we have, but I would like to see them.
Yeah, I think that the Coen brothers would have put a weird amount of humor in like 2 big scenes in There Be Blood, and it would have kind of pulled you back a little bit, and it would have been very clear as to who the good guy is. That's the only thing that they're very good at. Here's the person you root for, and here is what they're doing. Whereas in No Country for Old Men, I really think that if PTA did that, it would be a gorgeous movie, shorter but gorgeous.
Yeah, and maybe we would have gotten some closure for Josh Brolin. I hate what they did to Josh Brolin in that movie.
Yeah. Was that a thing where wait, was this Tommy Lee Jones the whole time? Was that what that was? Is that spoilers?
I don't believe it.
No, it definitely was.
I think there was a thing where like one of the characters was another character the whole time. I think that if we watch it again,
there's the theory that it's the entire thing is Tommy Lee Jones's dream.
Yeah.
Are we doing statute of limitations on spoilers is over?
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Brolin dies off screen. I love it.
Yeah, off screen, and I hate it.
But also he's like Tommy Lee Jones too, or something. I don't know.
I need to watch. I think I need to watch Old Country for Old Men again because it's been a stint since I've watched that one.
Well, do you want to do?
Apparently, I feel like getting sad lately.
I don't know if you'll get sad with No Country for Old Men. It's not a sad tale. It is just. It's like it's bleak. Desolate and it's very bleak. It's not sad though. It's exciting in a dark way. Where you're like, dude, you gotta not kill people like this. Why are you calling me friend though? Where'd that come from?
You gotta not kill people like this. Zach Wiseman. Words to live by.
That bolt thing is one of the most atrocious weapons I've ever seen in movie history.
Yeah, it seems almost like humane though, because it's an instant kill.
Well, I mean, that's how they kill livestock. So, I mean, it makes sense. It is one of the most humane ways you can kill animals. But still, just walking around with this hydraulic bolt shooter is so
brutal.
crazy.
But
and then just flipping coins and shit.
Yeah, if somebody's gonna murder me, I wish they would use one of those things on me.
Yeah, I'd rather that than like a bowling pin.
Yeah. Oh, definitely more than a bowling pin.
Yeah, hit me with the
anvil and gravity. That's how.
You're gonna fall on an anvil. Come on, that's stupid.
From high enough up.
Yeah, what a stupid thing to say.
Anvil, ground, from high enough up, they're the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. So is water. I guess.
You know what? It would be kind of fun to get like my head smashed in by a falling anvil, like I was a Looney Tune.
Yeah, I want like a piano, but then I also want to slightly survive it and just have keys hanging out my mouth. Yeah, like,
and then a big bump forms on the top of your head with little, and then you just die anyway.
Yeah, you just fall
but
over
at least it's funny.
Yeah, because I have like birds around, and like the lump goes up and it like lifts my hat off my head a little bit. Yeah. It's like wah, 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 and then Zach Wiseman's dead.
And then we get to see the weird your old conjoined twin that lives on the top of your head, and that's why you never take the hat off.
the back of it. Oh, you saw Maleficent or was it malicious or
malignant?
Maleficent. Maleficent 3. Maleficent
That's
3,
a completely different movie.
Cancerous backwards. I don't know. I guess.
Oh, dude, that movie was cool as hell too. Look for my 5-minute review on that on Quick Cuts, daily podcast in October.
Dylan, have you seen that yet? Malignant?
Not yet, but I know about it.
Yeah, the first like 10 minutes, I'm like, does it look like that guy's running backwards? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, Reels. Wait, what's this coming Friday? What's the next movie?
Reanimator. Reanimator is on Friday.
Reanimator.
Yeah.
Love that. Oh God! And then my least favorite movie of all time is next Monday.
Can't escape it.
I wish I hadn't taken like a whole month off of this show because I would have taken a week off next week to not.
There's only one movie on the list left that I'm looking forward to less than Boondock Saints.
What's that?
It's something that I watched a lot as a teenager in the 90s. I'm not ever watching that movie again. I renounced that movie, but it's Ace Ventura because I remember the ending of that thing, and I'm just going to be a downer that entire episode.
Yeah, I definitely got to stop that like 5 minutes from the end.
It's going to be great.
It's more than 5 minutes. It's like the last act of that movie.
It's going to be a great episode.
So much just homophobia. There's just a lot of throwing up. Oh God.
So much throwing up. Everybody's just throwing up because they kissed a guy.
God, I'll save this story for Ace Ventura.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's save some.
All right. Reanimator Friday. That's cool. Hey, Dylan, where can you watch Reanimator?
It's on Tubi for free.
Ooh.
I think
it's also on Shudder, which everyone should have.
Yeah. I don't.
Shudder's the best app.
It's not.
It's the only one I would pay for. It's all horror. It's the only place you can see Joe Bob.
Well, whatever. All right, so let's do reels. Let's do reels and get out of here. I don't know what Joe Bob is, and I don't. Is that a Billy Bob?
Joe Bob Briggs? Thing? You never watched any of? It doesn't matter.
Is it a Rob Zombie movie?
No, he's like a horror movie host, like Elvira.
Oh, yeah, okay,
yeah.
Oh, it's like the guy Matt from Headbangers Ball. Michael, don't tell me you don't know Headbangers Ball.
No, I know Headbangers Ball, but Matt Pinfield was not from Headbangers Ball.
No, not Matt Pinfield. The guy with the spiky black hair. What was his name? Was it Mike? Hey, Matt. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't know.
A piece of media from before 1994.
The Headbangers Ball guy. Okay.
I think it was actually 94 exactly. Maybe 92.
Anyway.
So Friday is Reanimator. Monday is Boondock Saints. Oh. Sorry. I have to
get it over with.
I have to get over it. I have to get this throw up out of my mouth.
Boondock Saints 1, A Phantom Menace. This
so let's get our reels and our plugs going. We'll start with Zach.
Oh,
Get him
okay,
out of
cool.
here first.
All right. Well, before I give my reels, I want to throw special props out to our fellow boys. You have Mr. Chris Harvey. You can find his couple episodes of Chris and Chris Show on everywhere that you listen to podcasts, Chris plus Chris Show. You can also hear another one of our boys, one of our boy friends, Justin Wallace, and his show Carpool Shenanigans, where he talks about how to change the socks of a dozen kids at once using just household utensils, which is very weird, and also Anime Shenanigans, which is an offshoot of Carpool Shenanigans, where he just has shenanigans in the car while anime's playing. You can also find Mr. DL Smokes on his show, Oops, Caught Me Smoking, and he's got another show too with one of our other boy friends, Mr. Jerry and Blaze. Jerry and Blaze, The Crowd Chronicles. You can also find their sports show, which I don't remember what it's called though. All bets are off.
That with Jan and Darian.
Bet that with Darian and Jan. What? Who else? You also have Mr. Phil Better with his all of his weird podcasts, such as Go Dylan.
I'm Phil Better Than You and I Know It.
Or go ahead, Mike.
Feel better by only drinking vegan smoothies for a month. He gives out a bunch of vegan smoothie recipes that will definitely cleanse your entire digestive system.
That's true. It is part of his
bleach.
It is part of his bigger Feel Better by colon categories, and it's how to get your colon to feel better by. So Feel Better by vegan smoothie, whatever. Anyway. Is that all of our boyfriends? Did I get all of our boyfriends?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so this movie I absolutely love. I'm going to say easily 9 out of 10 reels. I really can't find the fault in it, except that it just doesn't have that rewatchability that I would love out of movies that I absolutely love. Because if you do catch this a second time within like a month, you're like, I'm probably just going to watch something else. But this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, 9 out of 10 reels. And you can hear my voice on everything that Some Nobodies does, everything that Dylan writes. I will say we have a bunch of really weird things out right now called Create Your Podventure, where you can find out what it's like to be the tech master of something that tells you what you need and whatever that means. Silicon Angels, which maybe has a season 2. Who knows? If I ever get my shit together and start doing some work, season 2 will come out very, very soon. But either way, I appreciate all of you guys. I love you. Drink a lot of water and keep it safe. I'm out of here.
All right.
It's my new catchphrase.
Okay, cool.
I thought it was going to be off this.
Oh no, we hang out sometimes afterwards.
Yeah, we're gonna keep you up on
You
screen.
can remove yourself.
You're just gonna be uncomfortable.
You have control. This is Dylan. I'm also in Some Nobodies, but I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Also with Zach. Kind of for the same reasons. I know that at some point I'm going to watch this again, but this is not a casual movie to put on. It's not something to just kind of have running in the background, and I think there's something to be said for like easy rewatchability. But man, I wish I hadn't slept on this one for so long as I did, because this is a real craft of filmmaking. So 9 out of 10 on my part. You can find me on everything Zach does. We do Twitch and Upstream on Tuesdays most of the time. We've got you listen to Silicon Angels. Yeah, we'll be doing it tomorrow. You can tune in, leave a comment. We'll be doing stuff. Silicon Angels is great. CYOP Appeal is great. Zach manages to take all the stuff I put on the page and make it sound good. So props to that.
Well, it is in English, so it's pretty easy.
It is in English mostly. So yeah.
Mostly.
I think that's all I got. There's my little title card. Follow me at Vorpal Words on everything. I've got some stuff I'm doing at some point. Hopefully in October. We'll see.
Yeah.
To you, Michael.
Cool. I'm giving this thing a 10. I have a perfect movie thing, and this is one of my perfect movies. I can't take my eyes off of this thing when it's on. There is something to be said for a movie that I don't pick my phone up anytime when I'm watching it. And this is one of those movies. I can't look away from it. Every time I watch it, I'm even more enthralled with it. So this is a perfect movie for me. So that's going to give it a 9.3 total. That's up there very high, which I'm glad I I picked a bad fifth movie, but the rest of them seem to have gone well so far.
I think
That's the highest
the
we've
highest.
got.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. And I'm glad that it was just the three of us because I think we're the only ones who properly enjoy it. Although Phil Better did give it an 8.5, so
Oh, we got to add that into the thing, though. I think that drops the score.
Well,
Come on,
Kyle. It's like 9%. It's like 90. I don't know.
it drops it to a 90%. It'll drop it to a 9. That's fine. So I am on. Just follow me on Twitter at my neighbor MICH1. I have links to all of my stuff there. So the only two things that I'm going to really plug, three things that I'm going to plug today, is Generation Clash, where me and my kid talk about music from our different generations. It's a pretty cool show, and we have a lot of fun doing it. I'm doing a thing in October where I'm going to put out a review of a horror movie every day, 5 minutes to 7 minutes, very short thing. That's called Quick Cuts, despite Dylan's insistence that it's called something else that I don't remember.
Schlocktoberfest.
Schlocktoberfest.
I like
Also
that
a
better than
very
Cold
good.
Cuts.
God damn it! You were too late. It was already named. And then Jack Billings presents Haunted Apartment Complex, which is. It started off really good this time. We took a while to get My Neighbor Michael going. This one, it took off, like it hit the ground running and it hasn't stopped. So check that out. And yeah, that's it. We'll see you on Friday for Reanimator, which I'm super psyched for. I love that movie. That's
Great movie.
definitely one that we watch every year in this household for the October one horror movie a day thing that we do because we're maniacs. So that's going to do it for us this week. We will see you on Friday. Love you. Bye.
Oil, they call it liquid.